JoshCast, dun, 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 no, it's the podcast that's been on for a year now, dun, 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 dun. Oh, a full year and probably maybe two people dun, 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 have listened to it. That is the nature of the JoshCast, dun, 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 JoshCast, dun, 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 dun. All right, well, this is episode 53, and I'm fairly certain that I skipped a week, or there was a mistake there. But roughly, I've been doing this podcast now for about a year. This is let's just go ahead and call this the 1 year anniversary of this podcast, and a lot has not changed in a year. Still, I've only been intimate with one person. That one time back in 2014. Still doing stand-up, still writing screenplays that will not get produced. In some ways, my IBS is better, and in other ways, it is not. So that's kind of where we're at. Oh, and Trump is president. So that's probably the other big one, the other big thing going on there. So that's where I'm at. That's been a year. One day, I was going to say grandchildren, but we may be past that point. One day, I think there's going to be an unfortunate scholar who might come across these podcasts and have to listen to them and catalog them, or maybe the Department of Homeland Security. Maybe there's somebody listening in on all of these podcasts and making notes, and now I'm incredibly self-conscious because now I'm afraid that they're not going to think it's funny. That's like, if I'm going to be if the government is going to be looking at my stuff for whatever reason, what I care more about than anything is that they think it's funny. I don't know how many of these podcasts have been considered funny. Possibly none of them. I'll tell you though, if I want to be funny, I should probably come into it with something prepared. And yet, nevertheless, I keep recording these podcasts with little to no preparation, and then wondering, why doesn't the humor just spring forth from my loins? And I don't like. I got to work on the ums. I don't like saying. I feel like I say a lot, and it suggests to people that I have no idea how to live my life, and I want to try to fool them better. Maybe nobody knows how to live their life. Maybe nobody knows what they're doing. I'm genuinely beginning to think that. I don't know how. Maybe all leaders are people who can fake like they know what they're doing, and the rest of us go, well, he's doing a good job pretending he knows what he's doing. We'll hitch our horse to this cart. Is that even the right metaphor? I'm not sure. I'm very tired today. Very tired. I didn't get a lot of sleep last night, and here's the thing too. I should go to bed as soon as I do this podcast, but I really want to watch the Tim Burton Batman movie, the 1989 one with Michael Keaton. The movie where that version of Batman can somehow fight 10 men without really being able to articulate any part of his body, which is really, in some ways, more impressive than the other Batmans. Like this Batman, he can't move his neck, and he's wearing all this rubbery stuff. It's questionable whether or not it actually is bulletproof, and nevertheless, he manages to beat up everybody. Very impressive that he's able to do that without seeing or hearing anything. It's almost really a retelling of The Blind Swordsman, if you will, ladies, if you will. Transition. I'm frustrated because some of the last few sets I've had haven't been particularly good. I haven't been happy with them. And the problem is that I keep not wanting to be vulnerable on stage in between being vulnerable on stage. And then I'm mad that the non-vulnerable stuff isn't as interesting to audiences as the vulnerable stuff. But sometimes I just don't want to be vulnerable. Sometimes I just want to talk about legal documents. That's genuinely all I want to talk about. But I have to remember that the audience wants to see. They want to see me reveal something. They want to see my inner self. I don't know why I'm talking in that voice, but it gives me great. I don't know who this person is. I feel like this is the kind of person who interviews other people on something that was rejected by NPR, but is NPR-ish. Welcome to the Sid Spielman Hour. I'm your host, Sid Spielman, looking at the best and most interesting aspects of culture here and there in the greater city of Los Angeles. My guest today, oh my, I could say so many wonderful things about my guest today. So many more things than we have time for. He is an up-and-coming comedian. I find him moderately hilarious. Please keep it going for Mr. Joshua Snyder. Hello. I imagine, Joshua, that you get pretty annoyed when people mispronounce your last name. Yeah, well, I'm not annoyed, but a little bit. I mean, it is Snyder and not Schneider. Yes, Schneider, you must hear that all the time. Oh, how it must cause you such rage. Such rage. I mean, I wouldn't go so far as to say rage. It's just if people could look at the name phonetically, Snyder, and just put together that it's not the Schneid, it's Snide. It would be nice. But I don't. It doesn't really bother me as much as all of that. Tell me, Josh. Do you prefer Josh or Joshua? Is one less Jewish than the other? No, it isn't. Oh my, aren't you hilarious? Aren't you simply hilarious? Are you all right? You're making a weird. I'm fine. Sorry about that. I dozed off for a moment. I had this magnificent dream that I was interviewing Russell Crowe and we were both nude. That's I hate to keep you from it. No, of course not. I'm a professional. I've been in this business now for 300 years. That's a bit hyperbolic. Oh, no, literally. 300 years I've been in this profession. Before it even was a profession, I would talk to people, random people, and have conversations with them. And finally, society has caught up and is able to record these magnificent conversations so that we can share them with the world. I don't entirely know why you I don't get why you invited me. Oh, why? Well, of course I invited you because we think that of all of the up-and-coming comedians, you have the best chance of almost making it. I don't quite. It is what it means. It means that you're going to work really hard, and you'll be very nice, and you'll almost get there, but not quite. Well, I'm flattered. I guess flattered is one word. Thank you. You are welcome. I'm afraid we're running out of time. My next guest. Have you heard of a man named Jeff Goldblum? Yeah, is he your next guest? No! My next guest paints pictures of Jeff Goldblum on genitalia. Transition. Transition. I don't know what just happened. I think that's how tired I am. That's what that last bit was. That is how tired I am. That just came out of nowhere. About to fart. Just want to let everyone know IBS is up to its usual tricks. And we are at this point now where I probably should say something profound or at least vulnerable. That's all. Yes, got to get back to vulnerable. Because that's what the audience wants. That's what you want, audience. You want to know what is going on emotionally underneath all of this bullshit. What is going on underneath in Joshua Snyder right now? What is going on is that I am terrified of being in a relationship with somebody. And at the same time, thrilled that I'm not in a relationship with somebody. Like it's odd. I've talked to, in between working and, hanging out at the club, I feel like I've talked to a lot of people recently, and I'm just tired of people. And it's nothing against any of the people that I've talked to. I get tired when I'm talking to people. After a while, I have to not be around people. I read somewhere that it's the nature of an introvert is I have to go be alone to recharge and then come back to people. And excuse me, I'm yawning. Sorry. I know. I'm apologizing to a recorder. Good. Very good. That's where we're at right now, folks. That's where we're at. But I need to leave people and go recharge. And if I don't get that, I start to get very cranky and standoffish. Not that I'm not cranky and standoffish already, but it really doubles the crankiness and the standoffishness. And so I'm torn because I think what terrifies me is that if I'm in a relationship with somebody, there's going to be times where I'll want to be alone and I'll be in a relationship with somebody. But that's probably a ridiculous thing to be afraid of because probably what will happen, if I do get into a relationship with somebody, it's going to be a situation where they're going to need a break from me too. They are going to need, it's going to be kind of I'm a 4-day week kind of relationship. They'll be with me Monday through Thursday, and then on the weekend they got to go decompress. That's probably what we'll end up with. So it might be mutually beneficial. It could be. Transition. I'm very disappointed in myself that I'm not going to be able to watch Batman tonight. I'm finding I'm going to bed earlier and earlier. It's 11, and I feel like back in the day I could go until 11:30. Oh, here. I'm yawning even now. That's perfect for a podcast. Great. The host is yawning on the podcast. The comedy podcast. He's trying to write a comedy podcast. But no, I'm getting tired more easily, which really, because sometimes I wonder if when I get tired, it's not that I'm really tired, it's that I'm depressed, and it's kind of manifesting itself as tiredness. Because if something really cool happens, I get really excited, and I'm not tired at that moment. It's when it's when I'm alone is when I'm tired, actually. I tend to be tired when I'm alone. Oh. So maybe in order to be less tired, I need to be around people, but then that tires me out. It's a catch-22. I just don't know what the solution is other than to be... Maybe what I have to do is, I have to find my soulmate feels the same way, and so we just have to time when we're around each other so that it's a point where we both want to be around other people, and that way we'll poop out on each other right at the same time and go, listen, I love you. I love you from the bottom of my heart. Now get out of here. And the other person will say, with pleasure. And the person getting out, well, that'll be me. I'll be the one getting out because it would be rude to tell my wife, go take a walk. Not beyond rude, it would lead to me not having a wife anymore. That I would think of. This is the end of the podcast. The end of the podcast. And the children sing and the children play. This is the end of the podcast.